I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Item number 2, our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, the adoption of the agenda. Motion, please.
Support Center.
Romano Zinner, please vote.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Move on to item 4, approve of the minutes. We need a motion to approve the minutes
Goyke moves
of
to approve the
June
minutes.
10th.
Support.
Motion by
Goyke.
Goyke, seconded by
Gross.
Groh. Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Commissioner Kraft, I did not receive your vote.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes 10-0.
So we go to item 5, very important, public participation. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on any item on the agenda? Any item? Thanks. Second time, third time, yes. If not, we'll close public participation. Thank you very much. Item number 6, Public Service Committee presentations. I'd like to consolidate right now A, B, C, D, and E. Vicky, are you here? There you are. Thank you, Vicky.
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Support.
I didn't call on you. Vicky, you have 30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds. Now you think I'm JP, I can talk fast. All right, this is actually one of my favorite times of the year, coming in front of the Board of Commissioners. We did invite some of our partners to talk about some of the economic impact they've had working in Macomb County. And so you'll see items A, B, C, D, and E are reflective of the organizations. And we did ask the organizations to come prepared to talk about what they've been doing for the county over the past year. So first off, I'd like to start off with Automation Alley. Tom Kelly, he's the Executive Director and CEO. We'll talk about what they've been working on and their impact here.
Chairman, Commissioners, I know when you do a receive and file, it's like, be quick, okay? So I'm going to try and give you the highlights of what we've been working on the last year. I appear before you every year. So some good highlights. We have 553 members in Automation Alley that are in Macomb County. These are manufacturers, small manufacturers. 44 new members in just the last year. That's up 8%. Now, Macomb has about 1,500 manufacturers in your county. I think Vicki could attest to that. So we have 38% of all your manufacturers are members. Now, I want to make sure it's clear that we assist and support all the manufacturers in Oakland County. So when we publish, in Macomb County, I'm sorry, keep everybody straight. No, seriously. When we publish an Integrate playbook, we do 6 a year on workforce, on AI, on 3D printing. These are distributed and available for all manufacturers in Macomb. What we find most satisfying is when we have a 38% of all Macomb manufacturers raise their hand and say, not only do I want the information, but I want to give back and be a part of the group. I think that's very reflective of the work that we do, that we have that kind of reach. So I'm very appreciative of that. 60 Macomb companies are on the Project Diamond wait list. So I've talked a lot over the years about what we're doing with Project Diamond and how small manufacturers, everybody gets a printer and they get stitched onto a network where they can use each other's assets. We have 50 members that are Project Diamond members in Macomb County that are on the network currently supporting each other. And we have 60 on the waiting list. If you may recall, maybe you don't, the governor stood with Executive Hackle up in Mackinac and said her goal was to provide funding to fill this void for these 60 manufacturers in Macomb. And we're still actively working on that. So that is a bit of good news. As you know, we run 2 to 3 trade missions all over the world every year. Our mission is to take small manufacturers, bring them on these trade missions, set up meetings with them so that they can close business and generate contracts. We've generated over $2 billion in contracts over the last 20 plus years with small manufacturers. We took 6 Macomb County small manufacturers with us on trade missions this year. I don't have the data yet on how much impact, but I know Vicki will be very interested in that data as well. So with that said, very, very briefly, there are 4 main resources that we bring to bear. Project Diamond, which I've talked about. We have a digital transformation center, which has very sophisticated 3D printing assets that are typically out of the reach of small manufacturers. And we allow them to use our assets as if they were their own. So they're able to bid on and win projects that would be beyond their reach because of the capital requirements. That is something that we do. We also publish our integrate playbooks. You are all welcome to them, and we'd be happy to distribute them to you if you'd like them. And we do matchmaking, which is helping smalls find both customers and other suppliers. So I thank you for your support. You guys have been terrific. And if there's anything more we can do, by all means, please let us know, because that is our mission. That's what I exist to do. You know, I'm very passionate about manufacturing. So thank you very much.
Question.
Yes.
Automation Alley is Oakland County and Macomb. Is Wayne involved?
So Automation Alley is a statewide organization today. We have 4,300 members of Automation Alley in every county throughout the entire state. We focus deeply on Oakland, Macomb, and Wayne counties because half of all manufacturing exists in these 3 counties. So we focus a great deal. Project Diamond only has 2 counties, Oakland and Macomb, where we have members that are assisting each other in that way.
Now, there's a membership fee, correct?
There is a membership fee, correct?
Where does that fee go to?
That fee goes to support our services. So everything that I described, where we talk about Project Diamond, we talk about our digital transformation center, we talk about developing playbooks for manufacturers. If they're trying to understand how do I implement AI, we have a playbook for that that says here's the steps you need to do if you're small, that kind of thing. That's what our dues go to support.
Does any of that fee structure come back to Macomb County in any form?
100%, because in fact, I would say in an outsized form, because when we develop these kinds of materials for small manufacturers, there's 1,500 manufacturers that can benefit from that information in Macomb County. Much more so, maybe not so the same in Oakland and Wayne, but when you get outside of those 3 counties, you know, half of all manufacturing is here. So Macomb is benefiting greatly by getting all of your manufacturers access to this information. So all 1,500 manufacturers participate in our programs. They show up to the roundtables. They're actually both the receiver of the information and the creators of it, because we do roundtables with small manufacturers, and many of those 25 manufacturers helped us write these books from Macomb specifically.
And do you meet on an annual basis, all 3 counties, or how does that work?
So JP Reyes sits on our board of directors, as does Assad Turfi, as does, at the time it was Sean Carlson. Today, in the interim, is Dom Holmes. So we have the 3 heads of economic development for Southeast Michigan sit on our board. That's unusual. We're very privileged that we have that kind of representation. JP is actually our treasurer. So I just had lunch with him 2 days ago. Believe me, he drives me hard in terms of making sure that Macomb County is getting all the things that we need to make sure manufacturing, you know, succeeds and wins business here in Southeast Michigan.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
No other any speakers? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Macomb, Vicki, number B.
All right, so item B, we are going to be calling up Phil Gilchrist. He's the Executive Director for Advancing Macomb, another strong partnership looking at a lot of our nonprofit community. Phil.
Thank you, Vicki. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chair Perna. I'm happy to be here today to share with you some of the progress we've made under our service agreement with the county so far this year. Just briefly, quickly, some of the work that we do is really across the gamut, working with nonprofits, with communities, businesses, and individuals here in Macomb County. We do a lot of resource navigation and technical assistance work, but we also provide a lot of referrals. In terms of referrals, if there's something that a nonprofit or a community needs that maybe we aren't able to provide directly, we have a lot of friends in the sector who are able to provide other opportunities for knowledge gaining, connections, or other resources, and we're happy to make the connections as appropriate. So far this year, we've been able to have 38 total service interactions. That's 38 individual meetings with 21 different nonprofit and business and community organizations across our county. Notably, that 38 number is almost as many interactions as we had in the entirety of 2025. So as our visibility is growing, so too are the inquiries for services provided by Advancing Macomb. As you can see in this chart here, we've been able to represent or work with organizations across a number of different types of organizations, nonprofits, individual community members, businesses, as I'd mentioned, and some governments and other organizations such as schools and libraries. Compared to last year, we've shifted from providing a lot of direct referrals to other organizations who are providing the services that folks need, as we are able to build our own capacity and provide some of these services ourselves. That includes things like long-term coaching engagements for nonprofit organizations, board governance and succession planning, nonprofit startup guidance, that's a pretty hot topic, grant readiness and fundraising, another pretty hot topic, as well as helping folks with strategic partnerships, workforce development, and community collaboration. A lot of our work now is trending toward ongoing follow-up with continuous clients, I'll call them, rather than having discrete one-off technical assistance meetings. This represents a shift toward being a more true capacity building partner for these entities rather than just giving them what they're asking for and sending them on their way. On this slide here, you can see that the top request we've received has been around grant seeking and fundraising by far. Nonprofits in particular, but also in communities, they're very interested in how to develop their ability to write grant applications and manage grant funds and then report on those. Additionally, the grant seeking portion of things around where to even look for those kinds of funds. Nonprofits do continue to make up most organizations seeking support from Advancing Macomb, with an increase in engagement from businesses exploring nonprofit models and libraries that are seeking community engagement strategies. Fundraising and grant support are at the top, as I mentioned, but also followed closely by marketing, visibility, community outreach, and programming concerns. Nonprofits are clearly focused on securing the resources that they need to be able to continue serving the public. Very briefly, we do have a number of different educational opportunities for nonprofits and community stakeholders, including our coaching and ongoing engagements where we'll provide continuous support under an action plan to a given organization, our nonprofit roundtable program, which is a free opportunity supported by our service agreement for nonprofits and other community stakeholders to come together for an education around a particular topic of interest. Our nonprofit building block series, which is our workshops that we're providing to the community. In the past year, we were able to offer a workshop on financial management for nonprofit organizations, grant seeking and grant writing, as well as board governance. And finally, our Nonprofit Accelerator program, which has done a fantastic job of preparing nonprofit organizations to grow and be more sustainable. To date, we've graduated 28 different nonprofit organizations from across our county through that program, and we're already starting to see them being able to leverage greater support through fundraising and through grants seeking, and it's been a delight to watch their services expand as time has gone on. Speaking of our accelerator, here you can see a list of the folks that just graduated from our most recent cohort. This program is really designed kind of as a boot camp for new nonprofits, young nonprofits, folks who have started a nonprofit and now need some guidance and support on what to do next and how to operate as a nonprofit organization. We will be accepting applications for our fall cohort beginning in August. I want to mention our Community Impact Fund as well. This was a new activity under our 2025 service agreement, and as time goes on, we're kind of modifying how it works. This year, we're establishing an advisory committee that'll help to select projects where Advancing Macomb is going to be spending time and energy. Currently, we are working on the Connecting Coastal Communities Regional Trail Project in partnership with Macomb County, as well as a number of communities here, Mount Clemens, Clinton Township, Harrison Township, Chesterfield Township, and New Baltimore. That is a bike path connection and extension project that's in its planning phases this year. Additionally, we have the New Baltimore Marina at Walter and Mary Burke Park that we've been advising on and helping to make some connections to increase funding and fill a gap there so that the project can come to fruition. And finally, the Financial Empowerment Center is an idea that had come from Macomb Community Action, and we're helping them to explore the feasibility of such a center here in Macomb County and identify where some likely sources of funding for that program could come from. We are implementing a new partnership this year as well with an organization called Share Detroit. They are regional in nature across southeastern Michigan, and we're working with them to help expand visibility and engagement opportunities for nonprofits here in Macomb County. Share Detroit's a nonprofit platform that connects community members, businesses, and organizations with local nonprofits through volunteer opportunities, donations, events, and things like nonprofit wish lists. This partnership will help to increase awareness of Macomb County nonprofit organizations, strengthen community connections, and provide organizations with greater access to the resources and support they need to thrive. I do very quickly want to touch on a study that we recently completed with the Dorothy A. Johnson Center for Philanthropy out of Grand Valley State University. Excuse me. We had done a study with the Dorothy Johnson Center in 2022, which demonstrated very clearly that Macomb County was receiving less philanthropic money than all of our peer counties in the state and a number of peer counties across the nation. This is not new news. I think we probably all could have guessed that. We repeated that study again this year, but focused on southeastern Michigan explicitly. And while unfortunately, we didn't find a whole lot of change. Macomb County continues to have fewer nonprofits than other counties in southeastern Michigan when you look at it on a per capita basis. That's what we see here on this slide. We also are receiving far fewer dollars than some of our neighboring counties. You can see on this slide here that Washtenaw and Oakland County are kind of at the top of that list for the amount of money that's coming into nonprofits from the foundation community. Wayne County is a high middle of the pack. Livingston and Monroe and also St. Clair County, which was not included on this slide, are all in the $40-something per resident per year range, and Macomb County is right at the bottom with $36 per resident. We're working to change this through actively having conversations with the foundation community and trying to come up with some collective strategy for how we can ensure greater investment in Macomb County communities from that community, from that sector. Here you can see that in the period of 2021 to 2023, Macomb County was receiving between $18 million and $31 million per year in grant funding from foundations to nonprofits, very specifically, and compared to some of the other counties that were included in this study. We did see an increase in the amount of fund support, grant support between 2021 and 2023 compared to the prior period that we had studied. And it looks like now foundations have about doubled their total investment on an annual basis, which is fantastic news, but we still have a long way to go. I'd be happy to talk more with any of you about that particular study. My time here today, as you know, is limited. Some ways that you can help us is to help promote and refer organizations to Advancing Macomb for our advisory services and educational programming. Connect those nonprofits with us directly. We'll work with nonprofits, we'll work with governments, businesses, individuals, etc. Please like and follow our work on social media, encourage participation in our programming, and celebrate the impact of Macomb County's nonprofits for all of our residents. Happy to take any questions.
Bill, excuse me, Commissioner Howard.
Thanks, Phil. To see that graphic about grand dollars per resident is, I've always known Macomb County is one of the hardest soils to plant a nonprofit, and frankly, in our community, we just lost a homeless shelter. We just lost another addiction advocacy group. One moved to Oakland County. I don't know where the other one's going to move to. And it's so difficult to see, and then to actually see it on a graphic is frankly kind of depressing. But knowing like the best of government is when nonprofits work together with government agencies to deliver for our residents. And so I want to thank you, because on the flip side of that, I can list a number of nonprofits that I know that have directly worked with you guys that are in a better position that they are today because of Advancing Macomb. So in light of, how hard it is to, and I sit on the board of several nonprofits, how hard it is to have a nonprofit here in Macomb County, knowing that the board and our government here is taking action on that is very refreshing. So just want to cheer you on and keep the hard work that you're doing, because it is not easy.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No other commissioners? Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you.
Vicki? Item C?
Thank you, Phil. All right, so item C, we're going to bring up Jennifer Hill. She's with the Clinton River Watershed Council. She's the executive director, to talk about some of the programming that they're working in. There you go, Jennifer. Thanks.
Do I just, for my slides, do I press over here? Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me today. It's great to see you all. Hi. Okay, so I brought mostly pictures. But first of all, thanks so much for the continued partnership and membership at the Watershed Council. I did bring our 2025 annual report, hard copies for you all so that you have those. And this is just a short graphic that shows the impact we've had overall in the watershed in 2025. But I wanted to break it down for you as well of the work that we did in 2025 in Macomb County specifically. So quite a few numbers up there on the screen, but within the county, we served over 3,000 people directly, and that ranged from our K through 12 education programs to our adult education and our volunteer opportunities. So I will go through those quickly and tell you a little bit about what we did in 2025 and what we've done in 2026 to date. So we're on track for 2026 to continue to provide and increase our services in Macomb County. And as you know, this is our mission, and we have 4 pillars of work that really guide what we do every day. So the first one of those is our education work. And in the last year and a half, we've done quite a bit of work for our Stream Leaders program, which is, as you may recall, that's our water quality monitoring program that gets middle and high schoolers out into the watershed to do the physical, chemical, and biological water quality monitoring that water professionals do every day to understand the health of our watershed. And so kids get to go out and do that in their local waterway. And so in the last year, we've added 4 Macomb schools to our program, which we're really excited about. And we were able last November to host our student conference again. And that brings classes that have done water quality monitoring with us together. In November, we did it at Macomb Intermediate School District. They come together and they get to present their findings, and then they get to hear from a speaker who is a water professional. So we had a professor from Oakland University who studies nutrients in water, and she came and talked to the kids about the work that she does. So it's a really cool opportunity for kids, and it actually had gone away since COVID, and so we brought it back last year, and we're excited to do it again. This year it'll be November 18th if you're interested in coming and joining the kids. And then additionally, this is probably a program you've heard a little bit about, but we're piloting a program called Rain to Roots, and we're doing that from funding from the DTE Foundation, and it's focused right now in Sterling Heights, Warren, and Centerline, and the purpose is to help residents understand if they can how they can implement a rain garden on their property. And so we know that rain gardens capture stormwater. Stormwater is our biggest challenge in the Clinton River watershed for water quality, and we know that that's something that residents can have an impact on. And so we're doing this year, and we're really excited about the program, and residents are excited about getting those site visits and then understanding how they can implement their rain garden or have us do it for them. And then I also wanted to note that we have been doing rain barrel sales and native plant sales in Macomb County for the last several years. And we are planning to have a rain barrel sale on September 11th in Sterling Heights. And we're also going to partner with Shadbush Nature Center to do a native plant sale this fall. And those have been really popular. And then we also actually shifted our Clinton cleanup, which is an opportunity for folks across the watershed to go and clean up trash over a weekend. We used to be in the fall. We actually shifted it to Earth Day because people are really itching around Earth Day to get outside in April and do something to help with our water quality. And so that's been extremely successful. And so this lists all of the places all the groups that we worked with this Earth Day in Macomb County. So over 9 sites. A lot of people came out to help. We did everything from trash cleanup to also invasive species removal, and over 1,000 pounds of trash were cleaned up over those days. So really great program. We love celebrating the Clinton River watershed in that way. And similarly, we always celebrate the river on River Day, which is in the beginning of June. And these are all the events that happened in Macomb County for River Day. We collaborate with these partners. It's really an opportunity to lift up the river, remind people how special it is and what a wonderful resource we have here in Macomb County. Our next pillar of work really focuses on our restoration and ecological work. And we do quite a bit of water quality monitoring, and that happens as part of the area of concern, which we administer. So this is just a quick slide to show that we're doing that monitoring. And I thought you all would be interested to know that at Cascade Dam, in particular in the North Branch, we found 2 live mussels. So the Clinton River is home to native mussels, which you may or may not know, but we actually found a pig toe and an ellipse mussel. So my staff are the experts on native mussels, but they're really important to the food chain. They can filter several gallons of water a day. They filter out pollutants and nutrients. So we're on the lookout for those, and I'll tell you a little bit more about some more of that work that we're doing. We also have been doing more work around contributing to Lake Erie. So we're in the Lake Erie watershed here as a Great Lake. We have a program that's in year 2 where we are monitoring sites, and then we're actually sending that data back to a really large collaborative of groups that's working around Lake Erie, both in the United States and Canada, to understand the health of Lake Erie. So we've gone from 1 site to 7 sites, and we have found some things that we're looking more into. So for example, in 2025, our results showed high conductivity at several of our sites that we added, and that means likely that there's a lot of salt in the water. And so we've added salt monitoring to our protocol for this year, and we're interested to see what those results will be. We are also doing road stream crossings and native mussel surveys this year. So just to describe a road stream crossing a little bit here is, so when you have a road and you have a stream that needs to go under that road, it's likely going through a culvert or some other structure. And a lot of times here in the Great Lakes, that infrastructure hasn't been updated in a long time, and it can cause problems for fish passage, sedimentation, habitat, and things like that. So we were funded through the Michigan DNR to do 160 road stream crossing surveys, and most of those are many of them are in Macomb County in the North Branch and in Stony Creek. And so we have some fish passage techs that have been doing an awesome job. They've already surveyed 132 sites. And I thought you'd be interested to see 2 site examples here that are from Macomb County. So what you're looking for is the passage, is the habitat, is the water quality in good shape or not. So you see on the left, you have an example of a site where you do have good characteristics, and then on the right, you have bad characteristics. So you're seeing sedimentation and the inability for fish to pass through there. And so what does all this mean? So in Macomb County so far, we've seen really good infrastructure. We have one site that we know is going to be a barrier. And so we're taking all this information, and what we're planning to do, we've already been talking with folks at the county who work on roads, and the idea is to work with municipalities and the county to take this data and be able to go then and apply for grant funding to be able to fix these road stream crossings with either federal or state money, and be able to improve habitat and fish passage, as well as, protecting the infrastructure. And then the last thing we do is we celebrate, right? So we were at the Warren Skate Park opening, Commissioner. It's great to see you again. And CRWC provided a small mini grant for that project to fund the native plants that were put in to the skate park to help capture stormwater. We also are working with Centerline and Sterling Heights on some maintenance for their rain garden installations that they have. And we hosted a Community Impact Day project that happened at Sterling Heights Senior Center to do maintenance on some of their rain gardens. And then finally, we have a new water trail plan for the Clinton River Water Trail. It was updated last year, and we have attracted quite a bit of funding, which we're really excited about, from some donors to actually do improvements to amenities at launches here in Macomb County. So right now, we're focusing on installations, actually having vocational schools in the communities that we're working in build kayak racks and then have them installed at these launches, and working with communities and with Macomb County staff to do that. So we're really excited about the work that's happening for the water trail. And then finally, I am charged with, expanding our regional connections. So I went to Washington, D.C. in March for Great Lakes Day, talked to our decision makers about the importance of the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, which brings a lot of money into the watershed to do the work I'm talking about. I'm part of the Southeast Michigan Flooding Task Force, led by Don Brown and Tim Woolley, and I'm participating in several other learning sessions, actually to learn a lot about data centers, because we get a lot of questions about those and their water usage. So that's something we're trying to learn more about. And finally, we'll be presenting at a Great Lakes Conference, which is coming to Detroit in the end of September. Brings about 300 to 400 Great Lakes advocates from across the region to different Great Lakes city each year, and it's going to be in Detroit this year. So we're excited about that as well. So thanks so much for your time, and happy to answer questions if you have them.
Jennifer, thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you, Jennifer.
Do you have a?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is all, great stuff. Are you guys working on any of the stuff for the CSOs, combined sewer overflows, particularly being it runs into the Clinton River from the Red Run drain? Have you guys done any focus work on that at all? Because, there's a lot of sediment and stuff whenever they have them happening, and it's very tragic. We spend all this money on our ecosystem to fix everything, all the hard manual labor by everybody that's volunteering, and then the dumps that come into it. Are you focusing any of your, to try and get money to fix the combined sewer stuff at all?
yeah, great question. So the work that we do is really focused on how can we be part of the solution to not have stormwater go into the drain in the first place. So the Rain to Roots program that I was talking about is one example of that. And we actually do a similar program in Oakland County called Rain Smart, where residents are actually installing rain gardens and rain barrels on their property so that stormwater doesn't even go into the drain. And then our other program that we have is our Water Towns program, where we're working with communities to install large-scale green infrastructure projects that also capture water. So for example, in Centerline, a project that we put in a few years ago captures 34,000 gallons per rain event, and that goes into a rain garden instead of going into the storm drain. So that's the way that we work on combined sewer overflows.
I appreciate all that, but that's nothing. I mean, compared to what's happening, everything else. Because an engineering is trying to do the stuff in the parking lots and everything for more rain storage and stuff like that. But, we're spending the money on all this other stuff and can be destroyed just on them, when there's a discharge coming out, all that work is what does a lot of erosion issues when they're releasing. That's all added to when we're only wanting to accept our stormwater. And that's just, I was just hoping that you could focus a little bit more on seeing, part of your group, to collaborate with everybody, is not as a silo, just everybody to be, to try and get more funding to get rid of combined sewers, so that can
Yeah, so
happen.
that is part of what we do in our regional advocacy for example, when I went to Washington DC, we were talking about funding for the stormwater, the clean water and drinking water revolving funds, which funds exactly what you're talking about. So we do lend our voice to efforts like that, and we're partners with the folks that own the infrastructure and that are able to actually do those upgrades and advocating for funding to be able to make those fixes.
And then the second question I have you guys thought about anything on doing anything with the north branch of the Clinton River for water trails, for canoeing and stuff like that?
Oh, good question. The water trail, so it is a state designated water trail and it does not include the North Branch. So not at this time, but if you have more thoughts on that, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, so I was talking with Candace about the middle branch because that's actually a county drain, from Shelby on down to tie into it. So there is some interest in on that.
Okay, yeah, we'd love to talk more about that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Vicki?
All right, next up, we're going to bring up Glenn Stevens. He's the CEO for MichAuto. Glenn.
Thank you, Vicki. Thanks, Commissioners and Chair Sabatini. So last year, I came before you and I said I probably had never seen a year in the automotive industry like I did last year. And I didn't know when I would see one like that one. Well, this one's topping it. Right now, we've got, as you probably saw, new tariffs on Canada. We're trying to get a bridge open. Crossing our fingers, that'll open. The war front has been opportunity for this area. Unfortunately, that's not where we want to see opportunity, but it has mobilized the manufacturers and the defense industry here, as well as the auto industry. I think everybody knows the story of the arsenal of democracy, and that continued through COVID, and it is again right now. So that's a good thing for our employees. And then we also have a big issue looming, and that is Chinese vehicles coming into the United States. And so these are the big issues that are both challenges for Michigan and Macomb County, but also opportunity. So I just wanted to take you through a few things real quick. And I'll focus, this is the timeline of our history, but I really want to focus on that far right. We are also upon the most consequential election probably in the state's history. We've had many pivotal elections, but right now the amount of change that's going to happen from a governor, a secretary of state, attorney general, our House, our Senate, a new U.S. senator, and so on and so forth. This is a massive change for us. So we are preparing a roadmap, a policy roadmap that Vicki's actually working with us on in preparation for the new administration. And we're already meeting with the candidates, and so this is a big project for us. Our focus really is on advocacy, talent, and then where the industry's going, this transition of the industry. We do a lot of advocacy work. We do a lot in DC, but primarily in Lansing and with communities. We help manage the Auto Caucus. This is a bipartisan, bicameral effort from the legislature. The two co-founders of that were actually one person you know very well, Steve Beta, and probably Mike Cole. You probably know both of them. They helped found that caucus a few years back. But advocacy in Lansing, educating politicians, that is really, really important to what we do. On a talent standpoint, I mean, this drives everything. So this is where we spend most of our time and most of our resources. We are a 501c6. We are completely funded by industry and partners like Macomb County and people across the state. We have a lot of programs, but what we're trying to do is build that pipeline. One of the biggest Achilles heels in our schools right now is our lack of career counseling. I don't know if you know this number, but I'll throw it at you. We're 49th in the country in the ratio of students to counselors in our junior high and our high schools. And then we wonder why we don't have people aligned with the right skills, or we don't have good labor force participation. So that is a big focus for us in the upcoming legislative sessions. We're also very focused on where is the industry going, because it is evolving. You've seen the EV push, you've seen the EV pullback, but EVs aren't going away. But there's other technologies that are proliferating, and I can't underscore enough how big the issue of China. They are now exporting 12 million vehicles a year from China. We only make, or we do make a lot, we make 8 million in the United States every year. They're exporting 12 million units, and it grows every year. And I would venture to say they dump, because that's probably, and dumping means you're selling below your cost across the country. And we're the only country in the world right now where you cannot purchase a Chinese vehicle, and a Chinese vehicle is not built here. So that is how fast this is spread, and is a very serious issue for us. We're guided by a board. Vicki serves on that board. We really appreciate that, and she's a real active member. And we do a lot of work here. We're here constantly. We're still involved with the Romeo site. The Going Pro Talent Fund, which you may know was cut in this current state budget, is extremely important to the skilled trades and the development of your people here in Macomb. So that's going to be something we're taking up in the new legislature. We work very closely. I look forward to speaking with leadership Macomb every year. Your partner meetings. This year we did something new. We had a whole group of automotive suppliers come down to the auto show and spend a day with the team and with us. But probably the most important thing is your youth. So there's a picture up here in the bottom right. That's a whole group of kids from Romeo that came down to tour the Rouge plant in Michigan Central. And then Friday, we had intern day, and we had a whole group from Macomb. And I got to meet this really sharp young lady who goes to Michigan Tech University, which we hope will stay here and work. Happens to be Vicki's daughter. So really sharp young lady, and I was really impressed to meet her. And she spent the day with us in Detroit on. So again, we're funded by the industry. We're funded by different stakeholders. We're really diverse because we have the OEMs, suppliers, economic development, universities, banks, and so on and so forth. So that's what we're doing, and I just wanted to give you a quick update on that, and of course would be happy to entertain any questions.
No questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks for your ongoing support.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Glenn. All right, and then our last speakers, Justin Robinson, no stranger to Macomb County. He's the new executive director for the Detroit Regional Partnership. Justin.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Vicki. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all today and share a little bit of information about the Detroit Regional Partnership with so many of the other great economic development agencies that we work with as well. So I'm going to give a little bit of high-level overview on who the Detroit Regional Partnership is and kind of what we do in our role in the ecosystem, and then we'll talk about our kind of specific engagements and impact here in Macomb County. So if you want to go to the next slide. Oh, I control here. Okay, perfect. So we cover the 11 county Southeast Michigan region. You can see the map here. The center of that region is clearly Macomb, Oakland, Wayne, and Detroit, which is where the bulk of the population sits and most of our activity. But our mission is to go out globally, build relationships with kind of the next generations of companies, technologies, and jobs, help get our communities on the radar for their growth and expansion projects, and ultimately help our partners win more deals here, creating more jobs, more tax base, right, more vibrancy here in our communities locally. You'll see a board above. Mark Hackle serves on it, as well as the other county executives and Mayor Sheffield, but notably we're private sector led. So Bob Riney from Henry Ford Health Systems is our chair currently. But we really work together to make sure we understand the priorities of our county partners and our economic development partners, and align that with the investment of the private industry to really drive economic development across the region. Kind of the four pillars that anything we do, we work to check the box on. You know, we're here to create outsized job creation for the region, right? We want to make sure we're bringing the next generation of jobs that can help retain and attract the talent that we all want to see here. And so we do that by creating jobs in volume. Our commitment is also to create jobs across the spectrum, right? Jobs based on meeting our residents where their skill sets and education is at. So that can be an entry-level job, obviously, to a PhD-level candidate, but we very specifically target companies that meet the kind of workforce profiles of our communities across Southeast Michigan. Deep prosperity, really importantly, this is about creating economic mobility for families. That's why we do this, right? It's tax base is great. Those things are ancillary benefits, but really this is about creating vitality for families and residents, right? So they can be successful in your communities. And then ultimately, right, we call ourselves an agnostic promoter of all of Southeast Michigan. Well, each community does have its distinct assets, like the defense corridor here in Macomb, right? We're out globally talking about the strength of this region against other globally known regions, working to make sure we're on the list for those projects as I described. When I talk about outsized job creation, what does that mean? Our 10-year goal, right, which was 2020 through 2029, is 50,000 new jobs for this region and $10 billion in investment. And those are the volume of jobs we believe are necessary to really maintain the opportunities necessary to retain and attract our residents. When you look at where we're at to date, we're ahead of schedule. We've helped create nearly over 10 billion investments, so ahead of schedule, but we're at 42,000 new jobs as a result of the joint work together with Vicki and her team in our 11 county region, doing this in unison. A little bit more about our specific programs. So I mentioned, we certainly, our focus is attraction, but there's a couple other unique programs that we do. One is industrial site readiness. Winning projects is all about making sure we can meet the timelines of companies that want to activate in our communities. And right, they come to us and say, hey, we need to be operating by this date. Can you get there? And so a big part of that is site readiness, making sure we know which sites can work for those clients and matching up those sites then to those opportunities. Another piece that we were successful in was securing funding for this region through the Build Back Better Regional Challenge a few years back under the Biden administration. We brought in $52 million from the federal government that went to 25 different nonprofits. That's called the GEM Initiative, and I'll talk a little bit more about what we do with our portion of the funding here in a moment. But what does this work look like in partnership with Macomb and the region? So we don't wait for people to come to us, right, to talk about what's happening here. We go to them. And so over the last 6 years, we've traveled to 300 countries, states, trade shows, and missions, talking about the strengths of our community, the assets of our communities. Over 500,000 miles traveled. The end result, though, of that has been more than 400 opportunities to compete for and 141 projects across this 11 county region. You can see a map of kind of where those land. Notably, obviously, Macomb, Oakland, and Wayne, the Tri-County region is where much of that investment and job opportunity is occurring. But we love to land projects also on the edge of the region as well and deliver that prosperity for all piece that I mentioned. I won't walk through each of these, but it's in your packet here, the projects we've supported. Many of these are projects Macomb leads that we may provide data and support services on, and some of these are projects we've led, right, that vice versa. Macomb has helped get across the finish line in their local communities, but we've helped support and deliver 828 new jobs for Macomb County over the last 5 years. Another piece that we were stood up to do is change perceptions of this region globally, right? Detroit, right, for many years was a negative implication for this region, but we know we have a great story to tell. We've had a great comeback story in the city of Detroit, but there's always been a lot of great activity happening across our communities in Macomb County. And so last year we activated a pretty sophisticated marketing campaign. I shared with Jennifer Balch the video of that. If we have it up and you are able to play it might be good to show, but if not, I would check it out on your own time. We've taken this campaign to Europe, to 22 US states and 2 Canadian provinces. In this video, our anthem video was viewed 8 million times across the globe. We've had 22 million visits to our website as a result of that, and we continue to market and promote this campaign. So perfect, you can show the video.
Come on.
So we have a whole set of videos and digital assets, kind of showcasing what's happening, hearing from business leaders. If you've ever seen the Comedians in Cars series, similar concept, business leader in a car with our driver kind of narrating what's happening across the region. So really excited to be out there with the campaign that's getting great traction globally. And again, working to change the perception of our communities and deliver more prosperity. A couple more slides to finish out here. In addition to the marketing campaign, I mentioned our Verified Industrial Properties program. In 2022, we realized, in order to actually win more projects, we have to be able to deliver industrial sites on the timeline for our clients. And we needed to demonstrate the time it would take to get operational on that site. And so we raised $17 million from the federal government and from the state legislature. And we built the program in partnership with our economic development agencies. And to date, we've deployed that program at more than 100 vacant industrial land sites across Southeast Michigan. We've invested $6.4 million directly into those sites, helping study those sites and make sure we can describe the exact timeline and process for someone to build a facility on those locations. And you can see we've touched 66 communities through this program to date. And just a little bit, you guys have the link in the profile here, but every single site we do this work on is available through a public website, available to global companies to look at and study these sites. Site selectors use this all the time. Every site gets a drone video. You get wraparound understanding of the workforce associated with this site, the supply chain that's around the site, and we're starting to win projects. These are the sites that projects are looking to first to invest in the region. And I'll mention notably, we have 15 sites that we've run through for Macomb County, and we've invested $650,000 in funding into getting those Macomb County sites ready. Another piece that we've observed and have been working with our partners to roll out is a lot of our communities don't understand maybe what modern manufacturing looks like. Certainly Sterling Heights, right? As a global leader, they get it. But some of the edge communities don't know as well. And sometimes when projects come forward, communities can be a little bit of, I say deer in headlights, right? They might be overwhelmed with the requests or the timelines or the things being asked of the community in order to stay in the competition. And so what we've built is what we call our Industrial Development Kit, and we're actually launching it this month. And it does 3 different things. The first is it talks about what is modern manufacturing. What does it look like? What are the requirements? Why might a community be interested in it? There's case studies of actual projects that have happened across Southeast Michigan and how those got across the finish line. So helping communities feel comfortable talking about to their constituents about modern manufacturing. The second part of it is really helping communities understand the tools at their disposal already, right? Through kind of site plan review, permitting processes, et cetera, to really create what we call win-win-wins, right? A win for the municipality, a win for the residents, and a win for the company that wants to grow there. And so there's 19 different tools that we've developed that help, I think, educate and share best practices about how companies can control what happens in their communities. And then the last piece of it is really talking about some of those ancillary benefits, right? How can those companies drive small business growth and support new housing development and improving infrastructure? And so there's a whole set of tools they're talking about that. So we're really excited about this toolkit, and the whole idea behind it is we want communities to be better informed so we can be a better matchmaker when we have opportunities, and we can match those projects to communities that are ready for them and want them. And then kind of last information series we've built and launched over the last year in partnership with MichAuto and Automation Alley and others is what we called Road to 2030. And so, as I mentioned, our mission is outsized job creation. And so we think it's really important to make sure we are studying the global trends, right, to help understand where are those jobs going to come from? What types of companies and technologies are leading the way? Where do the greatest opportunities sit for communities, for nonprofits, for our existing companies that are here? And so the Road to 2030 does just that. It's a data series that we launch every 2 months. Kind of there's a new topic. You'll see 8 different, if you go to the website, technologies we've talked about where we believe the greatest opportunity for job creation is for the Detroit region. We have webinars around each of those. We have 2-page fact sheets for somebody that just wants the Cliff Note version. And then we have kind of 50 deck PowerPoint slides that talk about the deep dive realities of if you want to really compete, here's how you do that. And so this is something we're working on the next wave of this with Tom Kelly and Automation Alley. Kind of continuing this drip of information to help our communities be in the game and be more competitive. And then kind of the newest thing we're launching, this is being tested right now. This is an extension of the toolkit. We've observed over the last 2 years, especially at the state level, there's been I think a disinvestment, in the toolkit necessary to drive economic development and kind of job growth and prosperity. I think there's a bit of an anti-growth pushback occurring in some of our communities. A lot of that tied to data centers, which is obviously a controversial topic. But we really want to make it easier for our community leaders to understand the opportunity for business growth specifically and arm them with the insights to talk about that more accurately with their constituents and talk about how job creation and investment from companies really is a major driver for funding schools, funding parks, and all of the other kind of things necessary for strong communities. And so we're working on a new program we call the kind of Regional Growth Coalition to work on that issue and to really help provide more tools and services to municipalities and our economic development agencies to kind of do that work more informed and allow us to be more competitive. So next year when I'm back, you'll see me talking about that program and the success hopefully we've had in partnership with all of you. So last slide, kind of the impact of our work with Macomb County over the last 18 months. As I said, we travel over the world and Macomb is usually with us there. We've led 8 trade missions and trade shows that Macomb's team joined us on, where we set up calls, we plan the trips, we set up meetings with corporate executives. And again, this is a team sport. We pitch the regions together. In the local trade shows here, we also do the same thing, right? We look at who's there, we set up meetings for our partners, and we go out and we pitch those companies. We've helped also Macomb County submit for a lot of global business attraction opportunities. So actually 45, we call them proposals, requests for proposals from global companies who are considering our region. We've helped put Macomb forward in 45 of those opportunities this year. As I mentioned, we put $650,000 in I mentioned the federal funding and the state funding we secured into Macomb County sites over the last couple of years. And importantly, I know Macomb's got a big project they're working on. We've set aside $250,000 in site readiness funds to help get that project across the finish line, hopefully in Macomb Township. And then we got a few things that Macomb County is leading, right, in terms of projects that they're helping to get across the finish line that we're supporting. And if those close, that'll be another 584 jobs for Macomb County and 225 million investment. So I want to thank Vicki and her team for our partnership and all of you for your support of the Detroit Regional Partnership and allowing us to do this work. So with that, any questions I can address?
Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Chair. I know within the last year, there was 2 opportunities for businesses in Roseville, and I reverted them to Vicki. They didn't materialize, but they were very much appreciative of all the opportunity, data collection, and the investment of your time and your staff's time. So I want to thank you for that. That video that you showed, where's that plate?
So we send it out digitally. We don't have the dollars to run commercials. So you see it on LinkedIn, you see it on YouTube, you see it in Google Ads. So really, we send it kind of through, phone and web services essentially.
Okay.
But Europe, Canada, and 22 states in the U.S. is where we're actively promoting it, and it's targeted to corporate executives.
That last new program that you talked about, where you're helping the local municipalities, do you go to them or do they come to you?
So we haven't launched, so in the VIP program, actually, we do use data to determine which sites make sense to invite into the program, and then we outreach proactively, often through Macomb County or the other county partners to engage the local municipality. In the new program, we just met with Vicki and the team, and they're going to help us actually directly engage with the municipality. So they're our conduit to those stakeholders.
Great. And I think the more opportunity you have to engage with them instead of them coming to you, the better it's going to be for the program. Lastly, I thought I saw on one of the slides that there were 42,000 jobs created, that on another slide it said 128 new jobs in Macomb County. How is it ascertained how many jobs are created?
Yeah, so we have 2 measures, direct, right? And those are for the 141 projects that I mentioned. Those are the direct commitments of hiring from those companies themselves. And then we use a multiplier. Every project's a little bit different, but it's usually 1.8 times the direct jobs is how you get to kind of the spin-off jobs of supply chain, small businesses, et cetera. So that's the actual math of like the equation. But we do an economic impact model for every single one of those 141 projects that looks at what's the tax generated at the local, county, state level, and kind of what type of jobs are being spurred from that. But it's a direct and then a 1.8 multiplier on top of that for that total of 42,000 jobs.
Thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Commissioner Howard.
Hey, how are you doing?
Very good.
I believe last time you were before us, or maybe it was when we were at Macomb Community College, did you talk about population growth? Was that you guys's?
I mean, I think many of us talk about that.
Right.
I think we all see that as a key benchmark to the success of our region.
Right.
For municipalities, the revenue is right, resident count, and you're either adding population or retaining population, right? Or you're not. So it's something we often talk about, yes.
Yeah, my question might just be along the same lines of Commissioner Hall's with the industrial toolkit. Job creation and population growth go hand in hand, and I just want to see, like, is there plans to address, and I mean, I guess you guys can't tell local municipalities what to do, but have an advisory role when it comes to building codes and permits. Like, did you guys discuss that?
Yeah, so in the growth coalition, I didn't talk about it, but it's 3 pillars. The first is helping arm all of us to talk about the importance of business growth and the impact to residents, right? The second part of that is understanding each community's vision for growth, right? Business growth specifically. What type of growth do they want, and where can we help inform that based on real market opportunities, right? Industry trends, type of jobs they might be able to create, and how they get more ready. The third piece of that, though, is how do you increase your competitiveness and performance? And that goes to exactly that. What does best-in-class processes look like, right? Because the reality is the way we're going to win more projects in our communities is being easier and faster than our competition. And that comes down to the local process, right, of how you essentially, right, engage a project and walk them through your process. And so that is actually part of the plan. And the toolkit does a little bit, but we think we need to go beyond that. And those will be the type of things that we co-create with our partners and roll out to municipalities directly.
Gotcha. I love it. I'm excited for the new aspect of it. One of the things that I would hope all regional partners talk about is the census. I know we're a few years away, but Michigan has had about a 3% population growth. Macomb County is outpacing that about 4.2%. And we know that the census is a huge metric on representation on a federal level and just income. You know, business comes here. We want to know, can we have the population? And so few people actually fill out the census. I had to do it for some of my family members because they said that they would not. And so just emphasizing that to really show like Macomb County is really growing. We have, and then with the regional housing that our county is doing, pairs very well with the business, not housing, but you know what I mean, program that you guys are running. So I want to thank you so much. I had a quick question for Phil, who's behind you. I forgot to ask it earlier. You don't have to come up to the podium. You can email me. But when we talked about the nonprofits and stuff, I love to see like a location, like a generalized location on where they're housed. Maybe that's like X number of nonprofits in Mount Clemens that you guys are working with, Warren, East Point, Roseville. It would be just interesting to see how that's mapped out. So, thank you. That's all. Thank you so much. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Gorky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. When you, you get down the line and you get these people to come and look in our area for it, I want to know what we need for growth to do this. What's short of what they didn't choose us? What is the biggest thing that they say? Is it the infrastructure? That's the guidance that I'm looking at, something that we can maybe help influence to make a difference.
Yeah, so we have that data on every project where the company will share it with us. I can share some things in aggregate, and I'll really share what we're doing going forward to answer that on an annual basis. So typically, right, it's, do you have the right workforce that's available, right, at the right volume and skills? Luckily, Macomb County is usually a winner on that, so it's usually in your favor. Speed is the next driver, right? Can you get me there on time, and do I believe what you're telling me? And that's where our VIP program and the toolkit and other things matter. Ultimately, though, it often comes down to cost, right, of operations. And when you get down to the last 2 or 3 locations, and often it might be us and Ohio and maybe South Carolina, that's often competition. Ultimately, it's a cost driver, and that's where the toolkit I mentioned matters, because local tax abatements and state incentives, they help close that gap. They only come into play at that last step of it, and we've been defunding that cost closing gap tool. And so often that's what it comes down to, is ultimately cost differentials.
Okay, so, well, thank you. I just, like personal property tax in the manufacturing is just a huge negative, in my opinion. Is that what you see in there too? Or are they giving the
Michigan's done a
abatement?
lot to alleviate that. Where we're often higher, we're actually tend to be higher on all metrics on cost, but usually somewhere between 2 and 5%. Where we are succeeding as a community who wants our world-class engineering, manufacturing talent, a community that understands how to use robotics and automation, a community that has a really sophisticated supply chain. They're always looking, they may come for one customer, but do I have others? And ultimately, it really matters. Is it a community that's open and welcoming, and do they want me? Companies don't want to go where they're not wanted, right? And that's something I think all of us can work together on to do a better job of that. And again, Vicky's team is great at that, but I think a lot of our municipal leaders, and often the governor as well, needs to do a better job at that.
Well, we do lead the nation in per capita of engineers, don't we?
We do, and that's a huge part of why people come here.
That's what I was just worried about infrastructure, roads and stuff, as well as that cost, if that was a big player.
I think we have actually really sound infrastructure, in particular DTW as an airport matters. Companies want to be able to come here from around the world and get to their customers in other places. And it's a world-class airport, and it's a really important asset. People won't come and locate here without an airport of that quality. So from an infrastructure piece, that's probably the most important.
So would it be beneficial for at the north end? We've had some discussions about making that a larger airport. Does that have any?
I mean, from a commercial, right, opportunity of how people move goods and services, right? I mean, that could present an opportunity. So yeah, if we can be helpful in data or analysis on that end, please let me know.
Vicky's smiling. I must have said something right. Thank you very much for your
Yeah,
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Vicki, you're done right now. We have a motion on the floor, please vote.
Motion passes 10-0.
Item 7. Scott, you have to replace Mr. Santo today.
Yes, I do.
We have A, B, C, D, and E, and F. Go ahead.
All right. I will just give a brief
Motion,
overview
please.
for each one of these.
I'll make the motion to refer to full board.
Support.
Support. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. First on the list is a cost share agreement with Shelby Township for the 25-mile road bridge over the Middle Branch Clinton River. This initially started off as a township-led pedestrian pathway. Through some collaborative efforts, we were able to kind of leverage those dollars to do a local project to replace the bridge, the vehicular bridge there, which also needed some attention. The benefit here is that the township no longer has to have a separate independent bridge. We'll be able to construct the vehicular bridge to incorporate the pedestrian pathway over it. Long-term inspections that normally would have been the township's responsibility would now fall to the Department of Roads as part of their annual or their biennial bridge inspections. So that is a cost share to get started on the design and forthcoming construction of that in 2027. Items B and C are a tandem cost share agreement and contract for the Clinton Township project of Little Mack Avenue, Carlier Street, and South Nunneley. This is a reconstruction / rehabilitation of these 3 feeder roads within that area. Reconstructing Little Mack Avenue, which is currently getting water main work done, and then resurfacing of Carlier and South Nunneley out in front of St. Thecla School and Church. So that is a tandem items there. Item D is requesting to rescind the cost share agreement for Harrison Township's Point Rosa Street. This was a submission that the township turned in for part of the subdivision reconstruction program. However, the as-bid cost came in a little bit too high for the residents, and we're not able to move forward with their special assessment district on that one, so we needed to remove that from the program. And then lastly, items E and F is, again, another tandem of the grant agreement for the Rosso Highway extension and the contract for Dan's Excavating for the construction of that project. The grant agreement is between the Michigan Department of Military and Veterans Affairs and the county. And as I mentioned, the contract for the construction is for Dan's Excavating as a little bidder.
Any discussion? Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Chair. On grant, it's item E, the grant we received is 38 million. Item F, we're spending 27 million.
Yeah, so the grant agreement is more than just the construction cost. The second one that you mentioned is the construction cost for the contract for Dan's Excavating. The additional costs are related to inspection costs, supervision.
Okay, so there's more to it then.
There's more to it, correct?
All right, thank
For
you,
the oversight of the project, correct.
thank you.
Any other discussions? Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Scott, real quick, the timeline of this, I believe next year is when the rest of Jefferson is supposed to be repaved or something like that from New Baltimore, basically to Selfridge. The timing on this, did I read that right, where this would probably be done before the end of this year? Is that the plan?
This will carry over into next year. So it's being done in kind of 4 major phases. The first phase is going to involve a lot of preloading of where the new alignment of Rosso Highway will be. And then after that preloading is done, there'll be a lot of construction of that new road kind of offline. So we'll maintain traffic for as long as we can along Rosso Highway, and then we have to construct the roundabout at Town Center Boulevard, which would then kind of prohibit traffic from there. So the detour around is essentially going to be up to 21 Mile Road and then over.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Further discussion? Please vote.
Wait, excuse me.
Chair, we have other speakers.
Pardon?
More speakers.
Speakers on my end.
Very fresh.
Mr. Sabatini.
Just trying to mess with you today, Jim. Hey, Scott. So really quick question in regards to the grant agreement. I know we're waiting on some final numbers with MDOT. Is that all in, or are we still waiting on some pieces?
We're just waiting on some final language review. I believe Public Works had to make a couple of changes as far as like the drainage districts that they are going to have the agreement with the county with.
Okay.
And so we're just waiting on those final reviews or comments that MDOT may have.
Okay.
From that.
Do you think we'll have that by tomorrow, by full board?
I'm really hoping so, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. I have no problem moving it to full board and give us some more time. The other thing was, do we need a budget amendment with this? I know our staff had made a note of this, but Cal, do you want to talk about that briefly in sense of the amendment, if it's needed or not? Is that a note on that?
Yeah, just I meant to request this earlier when we were emailing back and forth. Just see if you guys needed a budget amendment to cover any of the costs between the $27 million for the contract and the $38 million in the grant agreement, or is it the funds going directly from the state Veterans Affairs budgets to the contractor?
Yes, all those funds are coming from the Department of Military Veterans Affairs, so the county does not have any costs involved in this. Any of the direct costs that we have for our inspection staff and oversight are all direct reimbursable costs.
Okay, great. Thank you. And just stay in contact with Kyle in regards to that item for tomorrow. That'd be great. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Zinner.
Thank you, Chair. Scott, I know this Point Rosa thing has been going on for a while. I see it says rescind board action. So does that mean this is completely done, or is there something, is there an adjustment here? I'm a little confused.
It was part of a previous cost share agreement for the other 5 locations that we have through our subdivision reconstruction program.
Yeah.
So each of those agreements were separate at that time. So this one is being parsed out. But as far as if it's something to look at into the future, that's really kind of a decision that the township would need to make and the residents as far as, if they want to move ahead with the costs with applying for it for next year's program or altering it and going after our subdivision preservation program.
So it's a 0 right now. It's done.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. No other speakers? Please vote.
Yes. Commissioner Kraft?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
Item 8, Public Service Committee Correspondence, Macomb Work Zone Lane Closure and Construction Updates. Need a motion?
Motion to receive and file.
Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes 12-0.
And now it gives me great pleasure to turn the next meeting over to Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Commissioner. Item 10 is Records and Public Safety Committee Department Recommendation. I'm going to take items A and B. First one is Budget Amendment, Community Corrections Grants, fiscal year 2026, Michigan Department of Corrections Grant. It's an increase for continued expenditures, $100,000. Item B is a memo of understanding, Michigan Supreme Court, JDW data extraction for $8,000. And we have Ms. Caskey here from Director, who's going to speak on both of those. Ms. Caskey, please.
Good afternoon. I'm here today requesting for the first item, an amendment to our Community Corrections MDOC grant for the remainder of 2026 to allow for an additional $100,000.
Excuse me, Ms. Caskey, I need a
Sure.
motion to move this to
sorry.
full board.
Support.
Commissioner Howard, supported by Commissioner Zinner. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Caskey.
No, my apologies. I got
No,
ready
mine.
to
Go
go
ahead.
there. And this would allow us to continue electronic monitoring, pretrial drug testing, and HEAT, which is a cognitive behavioral programming for the remainder of the fiscal year. If you recall, we took a cut to the budget this year versus last year. This does reinstate about 50% of that cut. And this was a result of mid-year reviews of all spending across the state. And some of those counties were not spending out at the level that they thought they would be. So those things were reallocated to counties that had been spending out as they thought they would be. And then the second item, you want me to go ahead and move ahead to that?
Please.
Okay, great. Is the approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Michigan Supreme Court for a data extraction project. Community Corrections conducts pretrial assessments on individuals shortly after they're arrested and brought to the Macomb County Jail. And this is to determine risk level and make recommendations to the court for appropriateness for personal bond and other conditions. This risk assessment that we use is modeled after a tool that was developed in Virginia several years ago. And it uses data points to determine level of risk based on factors like criminal history, employment, residency, things of that nature. In 2023, we partnered with Oakland County to locally validate this risk assessment to ensure that the tool is as dependable here as what it was in Virginia where it was developed. Because we have different courts, we have different populations, different socioeconomic factors. And essentially what we're looking for is to make sure that it works as well here to predict those things as what it did in Virginia. In order to accomplish this, we have to pull case outcomes on about 7,000 cases just from Macomb County. And so the Michigan Supreme Court is agreeing to do this, but we have to reimburse them for their time for that data extraction. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. I see no speakers. I have a motion by Commissioner. I don't see your name up here, young man.
Well, I hit the button.
Better hit it again. Hit
With
it
the way
again.
the system's working,
Oh, it's
I'll
working.
be raising
Hit
hands.
it again. Let's see why it didn't show.
No, I needed my notes. It's right on there. Oh, you're right, it didn't. But I hit it. Request to speak.
Go ahead, Commissioner Hall.
See, now he threw me off. Boy.
Threw me off.
On the risk assessment with the new protocol going into the jail,
Yes.
they're gonna do an assessment. Will you still be doing your assessments as well?
That's correct. The new assessment that's going to be added is more focused on behavioral health. This is specifically for those individuals as it relates to bond. And there are any conditions that would help assist in making sure that they get to court when they're supposed to and staying free of any additional criminal arrest. So they're really for two separate purposes. And this pretrial risk assessment is a very brief screening that goes into that.
Thank you. Also, in your alternate solutions, you said electronic monitoring and HEAT, H-E-A-T.
Yes.
What is that?
HEAT is a cognitive behavioral program that is run by an agency called Real Solutions that's provided to felony probationers in the community. We just started that about a year and a half ago. It's a twice-a-week program that runs for about 7 months, a very lengthy program. And so in order to be able to continue doing that, we also needed additional funds from MDOC, so it will be part of that.
Thank you. And when you say pretrial services and decline to electronic monitoring, how many do you have on electronic monitors now?
We just ran those. We were running about 150 at any given time for the last year. I would say it's closer to 200 now. As we see the jail population goes up, our electronic monitoring usually goes up as well. I do not expect that to decrease anytime soon.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm not showing anything else on the board. Any other commissioners want to speak? Seeing none, I have a motion by Commissioner Howard, support by Commissioner Zinner. Please vote.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thanks, Barb. Let's go to item, I'm going to take item C,
This one?
D, and E together. Item C is a budget amendment, emergency management grant fund, fiscal year 2025, Homeland Security Grant Program. It's an award for $6,743. $6,743,133. Item D is a budget amendment, emergency management, fiscal year 2024. Operation Stone Garden Program, $97,500. Item E is a resolution 2026-15648. It's a resolution approving the 2025 Homeland Security Grant interlocal funding agreements. We have Brandon Lewis, Director. I need a motion, move this to the full board.
Support.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Hall, supported by Commissioner Howard. Mr. Lewis, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. The 2025 Homeland Security Grant Program Award is our annual award from the Department of Homeland Security that's used to support preparedness projects for terrorism and other major events. As you recall, this is a regional program, and Macomb County is the regional fiduciary for all of Southeast Michigan for a region containing the city of Detroit and the counties of Macomb, Monroe, Oakland, St. Clair, Washtenaw, and Wayne. The award is allocated, the full award is allocated to those partner jurisdictions based on a formula set forth in the grant agreement that we get every year, and then governed by the grant agreement and the interlocal agreements that you're being asked to approve today as one of the items. And Macomb County's designated share of that money is $827,334, which we use for law enforcement, terrorism prevention activities, hazmat and technical rescue support, intelligence and information sharing, training and exercises for terrorism preparedness, and plan updates and threat analysis. Second item, the interlocal agreement supports that 2025 Homeland Security Grant Award. These are basically the instruments that we enter into with each of the partners to facilitate the transfer of the funds between and propagates all of the rules and the relationship between us. As in the past, we are asking for an approval of the template. Our office will prepare those and have them executed with each jurisdiction. The amounts for each of the partner jurisdictions is contained in the resolution that was presented. And then the last item, Operation Stone Garden, that is our annual border security grant that we get from the Department of Homeland Security in conjunction with Customs and Border Patrol. It's used to support law enforcement marine operations on Lake St. Clair in the form of equipment purchases and officer overtime. And it is shared between the Sheriff's Office, St. Clair Shores Police Department, Chesterfield Police Department, and the New Baltimore Police Department, and administered by our office.
Chair Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Brandon. So really quick, in regards to the interlocal agreements, I'll say this because we kind of use this idea for our smart interlocal agreements, so it worked out really, really well that we've done this before with you, but that's exactly what we did for the smart ones. Are all of our local communities part of these agreements, or is there any of our local municipalities that
So
You're right.
all of our local municipalities in Macomb County participate in this program.
They do.
So, yep, so we have an oversight, basically an oversight council that we're required to set up as part of the grant program. And it
Okay.
includes representatives from 13 different disciplines and agencies all over the county. And the benefit of this program gets spread all over the county.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Not showing any other speakers. Any other speakers from the commissioners? Seeing none, I have a motion to move this to full board from Commissioner Hall, and support from Commissioner Howard. Please vote. Sarah, are
Commissioner
you playing
Crafton
with your
Wallace?
laptop? She's playing with a laptop again.
Yes.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was the vote announced?
Good. Yeah.
Oh, what? That's
Don't leave,
why-
Brandon.
why-
Don't leave, Brandon. How did the vote go?
Yeah.
Motion passed 12-0.
Now you can leave. Thank you.
Good job.
Motion to
All right,
postpone.
let's go to item.
Motion to postpone.
I'm sorry. Are you the chair or am I the chair?
I don't know.
Well, we're both chairs.
There's something in his water over there.
This is a budget amendment from the Sheriff's Department. I'm going to take items F, G, H, and I. Item F is a budget amendment, Sheriff's Department School Resource Officers, Romeo Schools in Washington Township, in the amount of $63,546. Item G is a position schedule amendment, position control for Sheriff's Office. And item H is a contract with Romeo Schools, School Resource Officer, in the amount of $339,067. Item I is a contract, Washington Township Law Enforcement Services, in the amount of $11,576,528. $11,576,528. I need a motion to move this to the board.
Support.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? Commissioner Hall, supported by Commissioner Howard. And we have, he just said Jason, you're Commander Admiral. Go ahead. Go ahead, Commander.
Whatever you want to say. Good afternoon, Board Chair and County Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you here today. I'm here requesting your approval for a deputy position to serve the Romeo Community School District and Washington Township. Both the school district and the township have partnered with our office to provide a deputy at the 9th grade center as a school resource officer. This position will enhance the safety and security of students, staff, and the surrounding community. The position will be jointly funded by Washington Township and Romeo Community Schools. For the remainder of the current year, the combined cost for both entities will be $31,773, totaling to $63,546. For the fiscal year 27, the combined cost for both entities will be $78,460, resulting in a total annual position cost of $156,920. I would like to note that there is no cost to the county associated with this position. I respectfully ask for your approval for this position. Under item F, we're asking for the budget amendment of $63,546. Under G, we're asking for a new position created of a deputy position. And under H and I, that both entities, Romeo Community Schools and Washington Township, have partnered into this position. And again, no cost to the county.
Commissioner Howard?
Hey, how are you doing today?
Good, sir. How are you?
Just two quick questions, just to make sure I'm just understand the process. So, this is not paid for us. Are they trained the same way that every other deputy is trained, even though they're going to be a school resource officer?
Yes.
So, if the school decides not to do this the following year, does that officer lose their job?
So the position currently is split between, it's a 50% cost sharing. So what happens is, then we'll have to go to the township to say, do you want to retain this position at 100%? If the school says that they don't wish to pursue it anymore, in the contract, it states they have a 90-day clause that they have to alert the sheriff's office in 90 days. Then we will go to the township to ask them if they wish to pick up the 50%. But the way it is now, I can tell you, we're currently in communications with another large school district of adding additional officers, so I don't see this going away. Speaking with the officials at these schools, I think you're gonna continuously see that these positions continuously get added to these school districts. I mean, you go back that we started these in high schools, it's now going to the middle schools, and I see this expanding even further.
Yeah. No, thank you. I was just curious on like the
Yeah.
employment mechanism, but
Yep.
thank you so much.
So, and the contract they have signed will take us through the end of 2027.
Great. Thanks, Chair. Thank you so much.
Commissioners, I see no other speakers. I have a motion by Commissioner Hall, supported by Commissioner Howard, to move this to full board. Please vote.
My motion to postpone.
Commissioner Kraft?
Yes.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thanks, Commander. Appreciate it. Thanks for your patience, too. Okay, next item I'm going to take is item J, K, L, and M. Item J is a contract, Premier Communication Group, professional services agreement for conviction integrity DNA grant. It's a total cost for $230,000. There's no cost to the county. Item K is a budget amendment, prosecuting attorney grants fund, various line items, $276,400. Item I is a resolution 2026-15615. It's a resolution deeming prosecuting attorney positions necessary and fixing salaries for the removal of one grant fund chief prosecutor investigator and addition of one grant fund chief investigator and increasing the salary, wages, and benefits of one general fund chief investigator and one grant fund chief investigator under Public Act, a lot of chief, under Public Act 329 as amended. I need a motion to move this to full board.
Chair, I would like to make a motion to move J, K, and L to full board and separate L.
J, K, and L to full board and separate.
Take M off.
Take them off. Just J, K, and L.
Talk about M separate.
You want to do them separately?
Just M separate.
Just
You
M
do J,
separately.
J, K, and L together.
Okay, so let's do J, K, and L together.
I'll support that.
So Commissioner Howard, and then supported by Commissioner Kraft. If you would speak on J, K, and L, Mr. Biondo, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'd like to begin by thanking the board for the opportunity on behalf of Prosecutor Lucia to present these agenda items. I just want to give a concise statement as much as I can. Although they are complicated, I think I can get through these in a couple minutes. The best way to understand items J and K is to understand how we got to this point, and it'll make a lot of sense of why we're asking the board.
Would you pull that speaker up? There you
Yes,
go.
is that
Please,
better?
Pull it up or tilt it toward, there you go.
Is that
It'll
better?
Tilt.
Apologize
Thank
for
you.
that. Well, I want to make sure you guys can hear me because I want to make sure you guys have all the relevant facts so you can make an informed decision, okay? As this board may recall, back in 2023, after the board amended the budget for our department, we were able to contract with our grant writer, Mr. Fisher, and we had tremendous success in 2023 applying for the $1.6 million conviction integrity DNA grant that this board approved in the form of implementing it in our budget. That grant provided for 4 positions, and by the time the board approved this and the grant year started October of 2023, we didn't get staff hired in until January of 2025. So right out of the gate, we had 3 months of savings just because of the process of approving the grant award, implementing everything. Going forward from that point, when we had the 4 staff members, we did what we applied to the DOJ, what we promised them, and that was to work through the backlog of conviction integrity DNA cases. That's what we applied for. That's what we got the money for and the staffing from the grant to address, and that's what we did. And working through that process, we were also reaching out to the public to get people to apply if they thought they had family, friends, or knew people that were innocently convicted. So that we could take a review of what happened and validate whether or not the conviction was proper or not. And so we had tremendous success over that process. The number of files we were working on, like we originally promised, we were working down. And at the same time, the numbers were coming in as far as additional files. but not to the volume that would justify having all 4 people staffed. And so being the fiduciary hawks that we are, when you entrust us with these resources, in April of last year, when one of the investigators left the position, we kept that position open because the work wasn't there to justify it. And so we started having savings from April of last year through the entire year and all of this year on that just one position out of 4. In conjunction to that, earlier this year, we had another staffer leave in the principal trial lawyer position, and so that added more savings starting in March of this year. Long story short, throughout the entire grant program, we matched the resources to the work that was coming in, and anytime we could save money as to not hire people in those positions, that's what we did, because that's what we were hired to do in terms of properly handling that money. Now, at the beginning of this year, because we knew the grant was going to end in September this year, we were looking at a couple $100,000 in savings because of our proactive efforts to manage the money properly. And the question was, are we going to return that hard-earned grant funding that we fought for and got? And the answer in our department was no. We worked with the DOJ, and at the time, Gail Pamakov, the longtime unit chief, and we worked with the DOJ, and we talked to them about what could we do. And under the original grant, it said you could use 15% of the $1.6 million for community outreach. So if the issue was the pipeline of new cases coming in wasn't producing, we're going to build out that pipeline and let the public know through the marketing contract that is also up today that, hey, this is an opportunity for you to reach out and find out if you know someone that shouldn't be in jail, and we'll work through that process. The marketing contract had to be supplied to the DOJ. They reviewed it. We had a number of revisions. The company is Premier Communications, which this board approved last year for the safe storage, gun storage grant, and it worked out great. So everything's lining up here where we want to continue the grant until the funding runs out. The DOJ approved that, but of course we want the board to approve it in our county budget so we can have the approvals necessary to proceed. And so that's the long and the short of it. We're being responsible with the funding. We want to extend the grant program for another year until the funding runs out. And we're asking for the board's support on this because it's a great program. Yesterday, I sent an email to the board just supplying additional facts. And so I provided the DOJ letter saying we complied with their, what we called the non-audit audit. And they're excited to see what we do with this marketing contract. The budget amendment also provides additional funding in the contract line item. In addition to the marketing contract, we've been working with our IT department and the DOJ to do an innovative AI project to review these hundreds of files. It's going to be a pilot program. And so that'll be presented once we get the signature with the IT department. We hope to present that at the next board meeting. And so all these things are lining up. We're going to do incredibly innovative things, and we'd like to invite the board to support us in doing this. The last item, JKL, that's a straightforward thing. We had some staff that said, hey, we're doing this work, discussed it with HR, and HR acknowledged that they should be paid more for that work. And we're just asking the board to approve HR's recommendation regarding those 2 positions. And I had to read that title 100 times just to make sure I got it right, let alone read it out loud like you did, Commissioner Romano. And so those are the highlights of those 3 agenda items, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the commissioners might have on any of that.
Thank you, Mr. Beyond. We do have some questions. Commissioner Kraft, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No questions, just real quick to piggyback off of what Mr. Biondo said, because I actually received some calls on item L. You know, why is one person getting a raise and this, that, and the other thing? And it's an HR process. I don't know the nuts and bolts of it. It's an internal process. We are just doing the technical piece of this, which we have done several times. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Joe. My question is in regards to item J. So obviously, you know, you're within the parameters of the grant to do this specifically. Did you provide us the DOJ approvals that you received on this specifically?
Yes, so I provided a screen grab because the way you get it is by going into the Just Grants website, which is the DOJ run website. I provided a copy of the approved GAM budget.
Okay.
The GAM label's there so you can clearly see it, that it's the budget as approved by the DOJ a couple months ago. In addition, I have the letter included in the packet, I believe, that confirms that the GAM was approved. And that GAM is just the DOJ lingo for budget amendment. They call it a grant award modification. But yes, you guys have the grant budget as approved most recently by the DOJ. It's that one screen grab with, I think, the green, a little bit of green background in the budget for the whole 4 years, because we are extending it from a 3-year grant budget to a 4-year grant budget.
And they've approved the extension for the additional year?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's extended at a year at a time, but really it's until the funding runs out.
Okay.
And so at some point, we'll run out of funding, and obviously we'll end the program at that point.
And,
for the
we didn't
grant.
do any type of professional services or any type of PR related to this program when the grant was received at all?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
We did not do any PR or any type of communications relative to the grant when we received. This is the first time we're doing any type of PR related to the grant.
This is the first time we're hiring an outside company to do the marketing efforts. Now, when Gail was here, prior to this idea, we did things like mailed things out, and we got some response, but not to the volume that we liked. And so this is us ratcheting up the effort to get out the community message so that people apply.
How do you target the individuals with this type of a contract? Like, what's the strategy and why you're doing it, and why did the DOJ give you that approval?
So when we talked to the DOJ earlier this year, and we've been working with the DOJ on over several months, going back and forth in terms of ideas and how to flesh this out. But ultimately, the grant that we applied for had a 15% provision saying you can do community outreach. Now, at the time when we applied, we didn't ask for that 15% community outreach in our budget. Instead, our focus was on getting through that backlog. But we were so successful in getting through that backlog that at the beginning of this year, when we're looking at the couple $100,000 in savings, we didn't want to lose that money. And so the question was, again, if the pipeline's not delivering new cases for us to look, how do we improve that pipeline? And this was the best thing we could come up with as a team working with the DOJ as an enhanced effort to do that compared to prior efforts in the first 2 years of the grant.
Can you just explain how the pipeline works? Like, how does it continue?
Sure. So Gail Pamakov, when she was the unit chief, what we did was we sent direct mail to all the prisoners in the state prisons. You know, that was a direct mail piece. We got some feedback, but really not a large volume. She did publications in various magazines that were arguably targeting, like the SATO, the organization that for basically, we were targeting advertisements and publications that could lead to lawyers and other professionals involved in this field being aware of this being an option for their clients. Because as you know, when someone's charged with a crime, they get a court-appointed attorney. The court-appointed attorney goes through the trial process, possibly appeal process. And if the client that goes through all that process, wants to escalate that even further, this really is the Hail Mary or last resort option to go through a conviction integrity unit. And so there's a layered process. So ideally, the person in prison who was wrongfully convicted would contact us from our direct mailing. Got a few like that, like I highlighted. Or alternatively, the attorneys involved have been educated to know that we have a conviction integrity unit, so they know that that's an option after they exhaust their appellate rights. And we all know that there's innocent people that go through the appeal process. And so this is an important pressure release valve for the judicial system, so people have confidence that we're doing everything we can to make sure innocent people aren't in jail.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Howard.
Yeah, I can't think of a better use of funds than this. Unfortunately, I have the privilege to know many people that have been exonerated. A friend of mine did 15 years for murder one, and he was innocent. He was in prison for 9 years before they caught the murderer, and he had to spend 6 years fighting to get out of jail, even though they caught the person that murdered. And they had no evidence that he did it. Then after he got out of jail, the jail just opened the front door, pushed him out, and said, "Good luck." Then he had to take us government to court to get any compensation. And the way we treat exonerees is, just honestly pathetic as a state. Is one of the most embarrassing things that we do. And so, of course, we will want this on the front end, where we're making sure if we're going to convict somebody, that we're not convicting someone and then hoping that they get to us to appeal. We want to make sure that we're sending bad guys to jail and not innocent people to jail. And so I'm glad that we're doing this. I would just love to see this being proactive, because I can list half a dozen people that I personally know that cumulatively have spent 200 years in jail and they were innocent. They were later exonerated, and then they're having to rebuild their life. They miss 20 years of graduations, birthdays, and all of that. And now they get exonerated, and the state of Michigan gives them a pat on the back and says, here's a little bit of money that you have to sue for. It's ridiculous. We don't even help them get their birth certificates or driver's license. So I would love to see this be more proactive on the front end to make sure that when we are convicting somebody, it is the right way. And then just, and I'm sure Prosecutor Lucido is working with some of these groups already, but Nation Outsider, Nation of Exonerees, they know plenty of people. They can give you a list of people that are in prison that are fighting these cases where you don't necessarily have to market. I'm glad you're marketing, but there's organizations that already have lists of people right here in Macomb County that I can give you that we can work on their cases.
We're
So
always happy to receive information, and, you know, as an attorney, one of the things I love about our legal system is that in theory, we have procedures, the assumption of innocence and everything else to avoid an innocent person going to jail, because the worst nightmare, I think, for any lawyer is to say, you know, an innocent person going to jail. That should never happen. I can't even imagine the families, what they had to do to deal with that. That's terrible. It shouldn't happen to anybody, because the truth of the matter is this is a system, and we're all responsible to make sure it's run right and that innocent people aren't prosecuted to begin with, and that's what we do under Prosecutor Lucido's leadership. But certainly, you know, there's cases that came up before him that we want the ability to look at, and we're trying to encourage people to contact us so we can do that for them.
yeah, I just want to thank you. And I know this is a grant-funded program. I know this program is going to continue until the grant funds run out. I hope there's a way for it to continue even after that. I believe Washtenaw and Genesee created their own conviction integrity unit within their office that's not necessarily grant-funded, because we just don't want to see people losing their rights and freedoms in jail when they shouldn't be. We want to get the bad guys and keep the good guys outside. So
Absolutely,
thank you. That's all, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners. Oh, Commissioner Perna.
Question. The prosecutors that work under Lucido, what is the structure of a prosecutor? Is his goal to find somebody guilty or to find somebody not guilty?
Our goal is to convict people who actually committed the crime. That's our goal. We want the people who committed the crime to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law so that the jury can make the decision on guilt.
As Commissioner Howard brought up, these individuals that were prosecuted, found guilty, served time, it's because of a prosecutor. Am I correct?
Well,
Prosecutor made his or her case that that person was guilty. And after 10, 15, 20 years, they find out they weren't guilty. So what's the mentality of a prosecutor? In all fairness, make sure they're guilty or don't prosecute.
I think from from my experience being in the prosecutor's office, the mentality here in Macomb County is we find out who the person actually was that committed the crime, and that's who we prosecute. As you know, Commissioner, the criminal case doesn't start until we receive a arrest warrant request by a local police agency or the sheriff's department. After they conduct an investigation, they send us the arrest warrant saying so-and-so, there's probable cause to charge this person. We're asking for the prosecutor to sign off. We look through what's provided to us, and it's correct to say that that process was done in prior convictions. I can't speak for other, prosecutor's office, but I can tell you our department takes our responsibilities serious. What we want to do is proceed with the prosecution of someone who didn't commit the crime. And so, we do everything we can once we receive the investigative results of the police department to validate what they're telling us. We have to look through all the video feed now and everything else, and we determine whether or not what's presenting us is worth proceeding on. If it turns out that a police agency didn't provide evidence to us that exonerates someone, the prosecutor authorizing those charges would never know about it. And so those are sort of the things that happen. Hopefully that answers your question, sir.
All the municipalities, be it Warren, Roseville, Clinton Township, it all comes back to the prosecutor. It comes to Lucido's office. That prosecutor that's assigned to Clinton Township It's up to him?
So we have a warrant unit, and so we have a specialized group of attorneys who review everything that we get in terms of arrest warrant requests. They review it. If they need to follow up with the detective or the officer in charge, if there's things that we have questions about because it's unclear, JP in the warrants unit, the unit chief, he'll reach out to them. He'll ask for that additional information. So we do everything we can to get a full picture from the police agency as to what their evidence is before we make a decision on whether or not a prosecution is appropriate.
How many times did a local municipalities claim they had a case that the prosecutor says there is no case?
That's a stat I think we can give the board, but I don't have that and I don't want to guess. I can certainly talk to JP.
But it does happen, many times.
Absolutely. We get cases all the time. I can give you an example. I won't use any names. We had a case where a local police agency, they wanted to charge 4 individuals in a vehicle over one firearm that was in the vehicle, even though based on the comments of the teenagers, it was clear that it was only one person's responsibility. In that case, we didn't charge all 4 of them, even though the police asked that. We charged just the one, and we denied the request to charge the rest because we take our obligations seriously on who to charge, and we're not going to charge people that are clearly innocent. Or even, we're not going to charge somebody if there's no evidence that we can point to say this person's, there's probable cause here and likely that he committed the crime.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All set, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
I see no other questions. I have a motion by Commissioner Howard, supported by Commissioner Kraft. Move this to full board. Please vote. Items J, K, and L.
Commissioner Perna, the system didn't receive your vote. Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item M, which is a contract, U.S. Department of Justice certifications required for Macomb County grant applications. I need a motion to move this to full board.
We'll move.
Support Zinner.
I've got a motion by
Goiki.
Commissioner Goiki, supported by Commissioner Zinner, to move this to full board. Mr. Biondo.
Thank you, Commissioners. And I think the conversation we just wrapped up really leads into this. I don't think it's any surprise that the passion in the prosecutor's office is to prosecute criminals. That's what we want to do. As this board's aware, because every year we come before you, we need resources to prosecute criminals. And so there's been a number of grant opportunities. I outlined it in the sheet. I know you guys read it all, and so I'm not going to regurgitate everything I provided to you. I just want to keep this high level. At the end of the day, we've been very successful with Mr. Fisher in doing grant applications with the DOJ. There's a new requirement for these certifications. All we're interested in doing is obtaining the grant funding so we can put it to work. Specifically, there's a grant opportunity that's due on August 18th, which would pay for 100% funded by the grant, dedicated prosecutors to focus on domestic violence cases. I know everyone on this board wants to see domestic violence cases prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The question is, how do we get the resources to do it? So when I come before the board and I present these items, I'm looking for assistance, guidance, and ultimately support if we can all come to agreement on how to accomplish the objectives that we're trying to accomplish. We want to get funding for DV prosecutions. The DOJ is now requiring the certificate. The only way forward was to come before the board with this agenda item to get your input, suggestions, guidance, and that way we can decide on how to move forward with this agenda item. And so with that being said, again, this is a prerequisite for a grant application. That's why we're here, and that's our focus. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions on this particular agenda item. I will say that something that's not in the packet, because I received yesterday, Sean Hagenfeld, who's our chief of trial, she has been working with Mr. Fisher, our grant writer, to put together the grant application that we're hoping to proceed with on August 18th. And in that process, she's obtained letters of support from the Clinton Township Police Department, Macomb County Sheriff's Department, the Michigan State Police, the New Baltimore Police Department, Roseville Police Department, Shelby Township Police Department, Sterling Heights Police Department, the Turning Point nonprofit, the Warren Police Department, the Warren City's attorney. And these are letters of support for the grant application. I want to be very clear about that. And so with that being said, I just wanted to share that with you. And I'd like guidance from the board on how we can proceed with pursuing the grant.
Commissioner Lucido.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to begin by saying thank you for your presentation on everything today. And I know that what Lucido's doing over there is phenomenal. And I know you guys really, are dedicated to making Macomb County safe and everything. I really do. And I do appreciate all of your guys' hard work. I did talk to the chair a lot about this issue last month, actually. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about it. And for me, the hardest part with this is that as a board here, we're always saying, Hackle tries to overstep the board in making a lot of decisions when it comes to this board, and we're always fighting against that. And I feel like this specific issue should be something that Hackle is his responsibility, and he should be the one signing this, and it should not be our responsibility. And I don't feel that we should be overstepping him and his decision not to sign this today, right here at this table, or even agreeing to approve it, because I just think that this is an executive decision. This is not this legislative body's decision. And he's the one that's going to have to come to us next year when we do our budget in September and explain why we're not getting these grants. And then he can come to us at that time and we can deal with that at that time. But I think right now, this is not the appropriate time for us to be making this decision to move forward with this recommendation, this letter of approval for this DOJ agreement. That's all I have, Chair.
Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment. We're putting a lot of money and resources into a building we're watching get built daily from this office. And I look at the list that was presented here today on things that were not signed, grants that were not signed, dollar amounts in the millions of dollars, focused on mental health initiatives, focused on helping Linda Davis's organization FAN, which is substance use. Those are all going to the wayside. Now, those are funds that we could use in the near future to coincide with what we're building over there. And we spent $250,000 to build that building. That's frustrating to me as the CMH chair, and seeing where the budget is headed for us, for our organization. It's not all sunshine and rainbows coming up looking forward. So to miss out on these opportunities is incredibly frustrating to me. And I really don't care how we go about getting those dollars, but we need those dollars here in our county to help our folks that need our help. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Howard.
I agree with Commissioner Lucido. I'm voting no on this one, and I'm voting no on the next item for the same reason. It's outside of our role. This role, this agreement is supposed to be signed by this, according to what was provided in our backup, it's supposed to be signed by the CEO. I believe in the balance of powers. I believe in local control, and this would be spitting in the face of those two principles. This is within the executive's office, not to force him to sign, but it's his decision whether he wants to sign or not sign, and that's his right. Like, we come here, it is our decision to appropriate the budget, to write ordinances and legislation as we see fit as a Board of Commissioners. To sign this agreement is ultimately an executive function. And as we all are always in here talking about local control, balance of powers, to vote yes to support this seems a little backwards on that notion in light of what our actual charter says. According to our charter, section 3.1, 3.5, 4, 4.4, this is his role and not ours. And so I just don't, like, we've done a really great job as a board to keep state issues out of here, to keep other people's issues out of here. And this seems like that's trying to encroach in here, because I can list a long list of things that we could pass resolutions on this, resolutions on that. When I was walking in here, a lady was coming in to file a PPO. She walked in the wrong building. We could pass a resolution on why is the PPO system in our state broken. I mean, there's a lot of things, but I think we need to focus on what is our actual charter duty, and this is not it. I have plenty more to say, but I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. So just to kind of throw my 2 cents in here. Commissioners, this is not a contract. This is actually an application. If we were to approve this and send it through, the executive would have to sign the certification. It's the executive's decision whether or not they want to sign the certification. By approving it, it's going to be his decision as to what he wants to do. So in regards to the actual grant application, I'm personally going to support this today just because it's an application. There's no guarantee that we're getting these funds. It's like any grant that we apply for. If we're going to go through this process every single day for every single grant that we apply for in this county, it's not really our decision in the sense that should that countywide elect apply for a grant or not. I think it's their decision under their statutory responsibilities per their elected position. So if this Board of Commissioners was going to be applying for a grant, I think we'd be going through the exact same process. There would be no difference to it. So whether the executive wants to sign it or not sign it, that's his decision. But I'm going to approve it because I'd like to see us get the grant, but ultimately it's a grant. So whether we get it or not, that's to be seen. So thank you, Chair.
On the second round, Commissioner Lucido.
Thank you, Chair. So yes, I understand what you're saying, Chair Sabatini, but I feel like this is a motion to approve the U.S. Department of Justice certification that's required from the Macomb County grant application. The county, your department applies for grants all the time, and you guys have for the last few years I've been on this board. We've never had this come up before. So this is the first time that this is coming up. This is something that I think that it should be going to the executive first, then you guys should be applying for the grant, and then we would be approving it. I think we're overstepping our bound by we're supposed to be sitting by doing this. That's just my opinion, and I feel like we need to stay in our lane just like we want him to stay in his lane, and we need to move forward with us staying in our proper lanes and our proper channels. I think that by us moving forward with this, we're totally going against everything we're constantly fighting for with him all the time. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you. Just another comment, and I'm going to reiterate what Chair Sabatini said. This is just the application. There's no guarantee. You know how much Romano likes grants. So I'm going to vote in favor of this. As I said, it's an application. We don't know what's going to go forward. I have a motion by Goyke, supported by Zinner, to move this to full board. Please vote.
Motion passes 8-4 with Howard, Lucido, Wallace, and Bueno voting no.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item N, which is a budget amendment from the prosecutor's office. It's to decrease part-time special prosecutor for $108,726.72. This is going to be moved to full board, but before it is, it's going to be moved to full board without discussion. And I will read this resolution, which is number 2026-15738, which says, a resolution to deny the executive's request for a budget amendment to decrease the prosecutor's personal budget by one part-time prosecutor. So it's a resolution to deny. I need a motion to I need a resolution to deny, and I need somebody to make that resolution.
Support.
I'm sorry, motion was made by Commissioner Lucido, supported by Commissioner Howard. Please vote. This is a motion to deny the executive's request for a budget amendment.
Sorry, Chair, just to be clear, there's no.
Yes vote is a denial.
He said no discussion.
No discussion, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item 11 is Records and Public Safety Committee correspondence. A motion to receive and file items 11A and 11B. 11A is 16 Court, Macomb County Probate Court, and 42nd District Court Annual Report 2025. Item B is Macomb County Sheriff's Office Annual Report for 2025. I need a motion to receive and file items 11A and 11B.
So moved. Support Zinner.
Motion made by Commissioner Wallace, supported by Commissioner Zinner. Any discussion on this? And if seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Item 12 is public participation, 3 minutes maximum per speaker on any item that they wish to speak on. Mr. McKinnon.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. Appreciate the time. I think I have 3 minutes if I'm correct. And I appreciate everybody here today, Commissioner Lucido in particular, in talking about good fences make good neighbors, something that you had mentioned in a previous budget item, and exactly why I was coming up today to have this conversation about the budget amendment that I had proposed. So that's exactly where I was going with that budget amendment. I think we can always do good work on trying to make sure that we're all staying in our lanes. I think it's a constant yin and yang. I hope that that's the appropriate term for it. We're always pushing against boundaries. And I think that that's pretty natural in our system. And it's a good thing, right, for our system. So I appreciate everybody's work on this. And I appreciate it being on the budget or on the agenda today. And I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. I will not take the full 3 minutes because I know it's been a long meeting. Thank you for your time.
Hello, Commissioners. If I may, I just wanted to briefly thank everyone's input on the various agenda items. I always value speaking to each one of you and considering, the different viewpoints offered by this board. To me, I always approach these agenda items as a collaborative process, and I'm happy to talk to any commissioners on any of these agenda items one-on-one if that's preferable to anybody. Again, thank you for your input and the time before the board today.
Thanks for your patience for being here, Mr. Biondo. Item 13 is commissioners' comments. Or is anybody else in the audience? I don't see anybody else. Any commissioners' comments? Can I see a hand if you want to speak? Nobody wants to speak?
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Wallace, supported by Commissioner Lucido to adjourn. Please vote.
I will. Gotta go to Chick-fil-A.
Motion passes 12-0.
See you tomorrow.